Love is my decision. That sounds like I'm consciously choosing something. Sounds like I'm taking a part in my life. Like I'm actually playing a role in what happens in my life. Because I'm deciding for love. I'm making a decision. I'm making a choice. It's amazing, but this is where all our power lies. It lies in this place of choice. We're always choosing each moment between love and fear. Always. So you know which one works and which one doesn't. But the problem is that as a race, as a species, we have tried to use fear as a modality of living. We've tried to use fear as a way to motivate others. We've tried to use fear as an impetus for our decisions. And it doesn't work. It always brings us to places that we don't like. So I'm going to suggest that we all take part in our evolution, that we all play a powerful role in the evolution of humanity by choosing love, but choosing to grow in love, choosing to evolve spiritually, to become more aware, to awaken to our higher self. So last week we talked about our individual journey of healing. And I know a lot of you were here, so you remember that one. We looked at two powerful examples that we have in Unity about personal healing through making a decision to apply spiritual principles in our life. Myrtle Fillmore, applying the spiritual principle that if I'm a child of God, I don't inherit sickness. And that was the birth of the Unity movement. Amazing. Millions of people have been touched because of her decision to practice that principle. And Johnny Coleman, the woman who was also healed of an incurable disease, because she decided to live. She decided to practice the principles. And of course I love that story. It was her mother telling her, if you want to find out more about this, then you get on the train and go down to Unity Village and you ask them about practical Christianity. You ask them about these principles. And that's what she did and became one of the biggest New Thought ministers in the world. Because she made a decision for her own healing. She made a decision to practice the principles of truth. And you can do it too. Nobody else can make that decision for you. And nobody can stop you from making that decision. That's the important thing to remember. Nothing in this world is stopping you from making the decision to practice the principles of truth. So we're all on our journey of personal healing. And why is that so important? It's important because we're also simultaneously on a collective journey of healing and evolution as a species. It makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, it's been said that the greatest gift we have to give to humanity is that of our own self-transformation. And I'll talk more about that later on. But the reason that makes sense to me is if all of humanity is made up of individuals, then whatever happens to the individual is going to affect the whole. It just makes perfect sense. If you have a chain and there's one link missing, it's not a chain anymore. It's not going to work. And in family systems, when you look at that, the system itself is based on the health of the individuals in the family. And family systems applies to communities. Family systems applies to the human family. That the health of the individual, the spiritual, mental, physical, emotional health of the individual is what determines the health of the whole family. That's why it's so important that we consciously choose for our own healing and our own evolution spiritually. So you're conscious efforts to grow spiritually will always bring the world closer to the realization of truth and the experience of oneness. The greatest gift we can give the world, therefore, is to boldly choose our evolution consciously. Just be bold about it, because no one else can stop you from doing this. You might say, okay, I'm perfect, I'm whole, free, and loving and abundant child of God already. Why do I need to evolve? Well, that's a fair question. Why do I need to evolve if I'm already perfect as God created me? Because you're not acting like it. That's why. You're not acting like you're perfect, whole, free, and abundant child of God. That's why I need to evolve, so that I can learn to act that way. If it's already true, why am I fighting against what's already the truth about me? So what's happening is I told myself a story about myself, a story of separation. I've told myself a story. I'm taking a role in that story, and I make that my identity, instead of accepting the identity that God gave me as His child, as a son, as a daughter of the Most High. I'm making up an identity, and I'm pretending that's me. And I'm defending that identity. And so, what does that look like, that role that I defend? It looks like I'm defending something that's sick, that's sinful, that's angry, that's limited, and that's a victim of the world out there, the world I see. That's the thing that I'm pretending to be. I don't like that. When I found out I was doing that, I said, oh man, I don't like that. I don't want to do that anymore. And it's not, at first, it's not easy to see that you're doing it. And it's even more difficult for some to choose something else, because we haven't been given the alternative. We haven't been given the tools. What is that something else? That's why we come here. That's why we enter into groups for prayer and meditation and self-improvement and spiritual experience, because it brings about conscious evolution. So it's important to remember, in order to transcend this condition, that I have to evolve beyond it. I really have to evolve to a new way of experiencing myself, everyone else, and the world, because we're all part of the same family. I have to evolve beyond the place that I'm in now. I have to remember that I am a spiritual being. I might be having a human experience, but I'm still a spiritual being. I am powerful, I'm intelligent, I am magnificent. I have unlimited potential and possibility. The person that first told us this was Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. And he said we are not human beings having a spiritual experience, we are spiritual beings. We might be having a human experience, but we're still spiritual beings. I love this guy so much because he's the perfect combination of theology and science, of religion and science. He was a Jesuit priest, a scientist, a paleontologist, a theologian, philosopher, a teacher, and an author. He was now this is incredible, a Catholic Darwinian. How do you like that? You believe in God and evolution at the same time. And not only that, could articulate how God and evolution are the same thing. How God is in nature, is in each and every one of us in the same amount as everyone else. That everything in this world has the same amount of God stuff as everything else. And I love him because he also developed this idea of the new sphere. Now that's a lot like what we've been reading with Eckhart Tolle, the new earth. The new sphere is basically the same thing. It's the idea that we're in a process of evolution anyway, so we can speed up that evolution by being consciously involved in it. We can speed up our own evolution, our own realization of our spiritual nature. If we can involve ourselves deeply in our own evolution. That I am in control. This is taking back your power. I am in control of what I experience. I am in control of my thoughts and therefore the world that I live in. And guess what? Now you can invite everyone into that world. Instead of playing a role in somebody else's drama. You know what we say? I know it's an old joke, but we say, drama queens, drama kings, auditions have been canceled. We're not playing that show anymore. It's just not happening here. We're going to invite you into a different place where you have all the responsibility for what you feel and experience. And you can invite others into that. And some aren't ready. Some aren't ready to be the sole determiner of their spiritual evolution. But if you're already given everything in the whole universe, then it's up to us to go and receive what's already been given us and to shape it and form it. We talked about this last week. To shape it and form it through the power of our imagination and our belief into the world that we desire, or our soul desires. Beyond your thinking, beyond your human needs and desires is your soul desire. That's what I want to get in touch with. We cover that up all the time with our constant dialogue about what is going on out here, forgetting that we're actually projecting that from a place of false desire. We're projecting that world from a place of not knowing who we are. Instead, I want to get in touch with who I really am and allow that to be revealed to me. Allow God's world to be revealed to me because it's already here. It's already perfect. It's already abundant and free. I just need to get into it. I need to step into it. That's consciously evolving. I step into the world, the new earth, the new sphere. Well, it's nothing more than realizing what's already there on the spiritual level. And through your imagination and power of mind, through your faith, manifesting through divine love, that perfect world. That's in our prayer, right? That's in our opening prayer. Manifest my world through that divine love. Through the substance of divine love, I manifest my world. That's incredible. So if we are spiritual beings having this human experience, then we can rapidly accelerate the quality of our evolution by working with divine law, with spiritual principles. We can accelerate it. We want to accelerate it, right? I'm tired of what I see out in the world. So let's look at what the human experience is right now. Take your blinders off. Look at the human experience. For a lot of people, it's one of hunger. It's one of oppression. It's one of racism. And it's one of disaster after disaster. For some in this life, if you really want to take off your blinders, it's a life of endless suffering and pain. And it's not brought about by their own fault. Others are enjoying a rich life of material wealth, often to excess. And still, I'm going to tell you, their human experience doesn't seem quite fulfilling either. So there's always a desire for more. But there's a greater reality. There happens to be a greater wealth to be found in this inherent spiritual connection with each other. They found that a lot of the happiest people on earth, they don't really have a lot of material wealth. They have friends, they have family, they have their basic needs met, and they have connection. They have happiness. They have a lack of doubt, a lack of fear. They have it's a double negative. But you have to do that. Double negative equals a positive. You have to have a lack of lack. You don't see that, do you? Because you've built up a reality based on lack and therefore abundance. So your abundance is based on the idea that lack exists. Isn't that amazing? Okay, so you think somebody that doesn't have a lot of material things is not going to be happy. Not so. Not so. The person that wants to be happy is going to be happy. The person that is going to put his happiness into things that he acquires, whether it even be status, material wealth, relationships, anything that feeds the ego, something you acquire from out there, then you're always going to need more of whatever it is you think is making you happy. That's not really happiness. I don't know how I got off on that one. Because all I wanted to say is there's a greater wealth to be found in your soul connection with each other. When you're really connecting with each other, with God, and with nature, you begin to allow your soul or your higher self to be your primary motivating and guiding force in your life. Your soul is guiding you. You're not being drawn by the never-ending impulse to get. Your never-ending impulse to go out and achieve. It's really not about that. It's being guided by your soul and motivated to fulfill your soul's purpose. And quite often, that doesn't really have to look like how we generally, quote unquote, define success in the world. You know that little country named Bhutan? It actually measures success based on happiness. So the country itself, yeah, isn't it great? It's amazing. I wish we're going to get there. The country itself is basing its success on gross national happiness. Instead of gross national product, it changed the P to an H. Our gross national happiness. So how happy is everyone? How healthy is everyone? How free do you feel? How connected are you? You know, how safe are you? You know, can you walk down the street and feel comfortable, feel amazing, and everybody's your friend? You know, that's what we're trying to promote around here is a happiness. It's a community. We're creating community. We're celebrating love. And in that, what happens? We transform lives. I know my life has been transformed by these principles. So when you do things that, from your soul, you feel, as Rumi says, a river moving within you, and it's a river of joy. It's a river of joy. When you feel that you're on your purpose, when you're doing things from your soul, from your soul's purpose, when you're succeeding in satisfying your soul, not your ego, there's a river of joy that happens. And you look at some people and they're just happy all the time, and you say, I can't be like, yeah, John's like that. It's a river of joy. And the reason that's so is because he's fulfilling his soul's purpose. He's satisfying his soul. He's moving and doing things from the motivation and guidance of his soul. And this is a new species of human being that we're talking about. When more and more of us move from our soul, we're consciously creating the new earth. We're consciously stepping into the new sphere. And the ones who've been led by the soul, they're going to do something very important that I've learned to do. You're going to teach only love. No matter what it looks like, you're going to teach only love. Because that's what you are. And the more you teach love, the more you find out that's really what I am. To be honest, that's from chapter 6 in A Course in Miracles. And Jesus says it's the message of the crucifixion. I'm not going to get into that today. But as we get closer to Easter, I'm going to talk a little about that. Forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know who they are. But do you know what? I can know who I am by teaching only love. I can discover who I am. And when I found that out, I said, oh, great. Now I can do something. Now I can be consciously involved in my evolution. I can teach only love. Love is the most universal, the most tremendous, and the most mystical of all the cosmic forces. Love is the primal and the universal psychic energy. This again is Teilhard. I love this guy. Come on, is this good stuff or what? Psychic energy. It's a primal, basic, universal psychic energy. Love is the sacred reserve of energy that we have. It's like the blood of your spiritual evolution. So if we're going to talk about conscious evolution, spiritual evolution, we have to talk about teaching only love. And it's a psychic energy. You can love no matter what the other person's doing. The thing is, there's no way that anyone or anything can tell you what to think, can tell you what to feel. You're telling yourself what to think and feel. And you create a psychic energy through doing that. Quite often when you're praying for others and you're just sending them love, quite often you will see later on the transformation that has occurred. Because deep down, everyone wants to experience that love. Everyone. And nobody starts out perfect here in the human experience. We are perfect in our spiritual nature, but we don't start out in the human experience knowing that we're perfect. So it's something we have to learn. It's something we have to teach ourselves. And we do that by teaching only love. So what is the most expedient step that I can take right now? I can focus on my own self-transformation. I said I'd get back to this, so here it is. This is from Lao Tzu. If you want to awaken all of humanity, which I know most of us do, then we're going to have to awaken all of ourselves. If we want to eliminate the suffering of the world, then we have to eliminate all that is dark and negative in ourselves. It's so amazing that I actually can do this. I can actually consciously go within and do the work. That I can eliminate the dark and negative things that I am thinking, that is within me, that maybe even through no fault of my own has been built up through trauma that I experienced in life. But that can be healed. That's the good news, is that it all can be healed. And it all is healed finally in spirit. And even if it's already healed in spirit, the good news is I can experience that in my human experience. So truly, the greatest gift you have to give is that of your own self-transformation. Said the same thing in the Bible. It just said simply, Paul to the Romans in Romans 12, be not conformed to this world. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your minds, that you may discern what is the will of God, what is good and acceptable and perfect. So it's really the same message, and we've really been saying it all along. Don't be conformed to the world that you see out there. You're going to be trapped in an illusion that is outside of you. You're going to be continuing the cycle of separation when you do that. And things aren't going to seem to get better. They're going to seem to get worse. And you're going to seem to have no idea of how to get out of it. You're going to always see people outside of you. You're going to always have disagreements. You're going to always come up with complaints. You're going to always have doubts and fears. You're going to always have somebody you disagree with. unless you be not conformed to this world. And be ye transformed by what? The renewing of your mind. That's what I can do. I have the power to practice the spiritual principles that renew my Christ mind, that bring me back to the miracle mind, my right mind, that good and perfect mind that I was given in my creation, so that I may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. I have to prove it to myself. I'm not proving it to anyone else or to the world. I just need to know it for myself. That's all. I just want to consciously evolve into that experience, to where I know God is love and only love. And if God is love, therefore, so am I. So have fun, guys, consciously evolving. We love you, we bless you, we behold the Christ in you, and we accept you just the way you are.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass., and visit us online at unityoncapecod.org. This video was made possible in part through a grant from Unity Worldwide Ministries and the Templeton Foundation.